to MGM's Innovation Implemented, MGM Technology Partners' podcast about the surprising technology behind everyday innovations. My name is Rachel Berger. Every year, the average American household spends about 53 hours a year shopping in grocery stores. We're in those stores so often that it's easy to miss the intelligent design behind something as simple as how groceries are priced in each store. Joe Sigona, a business analyst for MGM Technology Partners, is with me today to discuss one of his most important projects, modernizing America's grocery store price tags. Let's get started. So today I have Joe Sigona. How are you doing, Joe?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay.
You've been working from home this whole time, right? How's that been for you?
Honestly, it hasn't really bothered me all that much. The majority of what I do is on the computer anyway. It's kind of annoying not to be able to be in the office and able to just like walk over to someone's desk, ask a couple of questions, and walk back to my own. But with the current quality of video calls nowadays, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, it hasn't been that bad for me either. But I have definitely gone out once or twice to the grocery store, which is the subject of our conversation today. Can you tell me why the heck we're talking about price tags?
So honestly, for me, it was a bit of an eye-opener because it was actually the first substance question that Felix asked me in the interview, where he sat down, put a piece of paper in front of me and handed me a pencil and told me to draw a price tag. And it's not something that people think about a lot, but there's a lot more to a price tag than just a price, obviously. So a lot of people get the main pieces. They'll get the name of the product. They'll get the price. Maybe they'll put something about the savings in there. But then there are all of the more internal pieces of the price tag. So the different numbers that are related to inventory tracking, to what gets entered at the till when you go to pay, different pieces that are required by law for different compliance laws, around descriptions of the product, the weights of the product, the unit pricing of the product. If something is 3 pounds, you have to pay, you have to put on the tag that it costs whatever 30 cents per pound. There's a lot of pieces, and I'd like to think that I got a good portion of them, but of course there were some, as someone who has never really thought about it, you miss a couple of things.
So it's a little bit more complicated than just a number. It sounds like there are some regulations involved in making price tags. There's maybe some regional requirements. Weight. Yeah. Is it something that local governments come up with?
So a lot of the times we're dealing mostly with states, state regulations around what could be displayed, how it has to be displayed. One of our favorite examples to talk about is that in New Jersey, you have to have milk. The base pricing of milk is displayed by the gallon, as opposed to other states where it could be by quart or by fluid ounce. So depending on where the store is and the type of product that we're printing, there has to be a whole bunch of very complicated rules to figure out exactly what needs to be filled in on the price tag.
So it sounds like price tags at larger grocery stores might look a little different than your farmer stand on Saturday mornings. What's the difference? Yeah, what's the difference between the kinds of price tags that you're talking about here that maybe you'll see at Safeway or Lidl or Wegmans versus one of those mom and pop shops?
Well, there are obviously more regulations, and there are the bigger you get as a corporation. Whenever you're selling something, you fall under more of these regulations. The little mom and pop shop can get away with just writing a price on a price tag with whatever description that they want to come up with, versus a national or international brand, which has very specific rules about what needs to be displayed and what should be displayed to make sure that the customer is aware of what they're buying, because if there is an allergen that they didn't properly display on the tag, or if there is an issue with pricing, they're much more likely to get sued over something like that than a little mom and pop shop would be.
So it sounds like these price tags might be pretty difficult to produce. What is the process behind that? Is that something you know anything about?
So yeah, there are a lot of little pieces involved, and that's kind of where I come in, is connecting those pieces together. We have a whole bunch of different systems that are involved, including the promotional systems, coupon systems. There are all of the inventory tracking and products with just lists of different identification numbers. Then, of course, the base price calculations, which are its own section unto itself, where there are the country level base prices, there are state levels, there are individual store overrides. There's all of the marketing information the content managers put together for how they want to describe a product, or how they have to describe a product, as we were talking about the regulations. And all of these things come from different systems being run by different people. And that's what we do, is take all of these different systems, and based on whether or not the product is on promotion, whether or not it has some coupons out there, if it's going to a store in New Jersey versus a store in Virginia versus a store in Texas, the system will recognize all of these things, go to the right places, pick up the data, and drop it into a template that's built to basically build the price tag.
So, what exactly do you do as a part of this? You can't possibly be making this entire process.
No, definitely not. I'm a business systems analyst is my official title. And basically what that means is I work with the client to figure out what the rules should be. So the client obviously knows the laws and regulations. They know where all of their information is coming from and who's responsible for all of that. Whenever we incorporate a new system, we start out with a discussion as to how often this information gets updated, at what level should it be kept on. Is it a store level piece of information? Is it product level? Is it promotion level? And then we talk about how those pieces of information play into the overall product, the overall process, rather, how we want to, does it get exported only to the website? Does it go only to price tags? Does it go everywhere? Once all of those rules are figured out and we kind of get all of them into a semi-ordered and readable format, that's what gets passed over then to the developers, who then actually go and build the tech that does all of that stuff. Of course, it's an iterative process where we go back and forth and figure it out together as a team.
Is this a highly technical project?
Yes. Short answer, yes. There is a massive amount of code that goes on behind the scenes. And it really has changed now when I go to a grocery store and look around at all of the price tags on the shelves, the different promotional materials, any kind of coupon booklets. I now see all of the thousands of pages of code and hundreds, if not thousands, of man hours that go into generating that one little tiny price tag or that little booklet of coupons that you get in the weekly circulars and stuff. There's a lot going on behind the scenes, and it's been an interesting time getting to kind of see behind the curtain a little bit.
Yeah, sure. I mean, as you're chatting, I'm like, wow, thousands of man hours. There has to be some kind of benefit to these grocery stores other than avoiding a lawsuit.
Well, it's putting the time in up front. A lot of the work that we do is putting the time in up front to save all of that time in the background. When you don't have this system, the producing a price tag used to be someone that wanted to produce the price tag had to go first and talk to the people that were doing the promotions, the people that produced the leaflets, the different content managers who wanted to add all of the text about the product. And that would then have to be taken from that system. And it was usually some giant Excel spreadsheets that were being sent around. And someone would have to manually go through those, find the product, copy the information from one place into the template for the price tag. And doing that across an entire country or internationally for thousands, hundreds of thousands of products every single day takes up a whole lot more time than just the couple thousand hours that we've spent building this process out.
So wait, these price tags are printed every single day?
For some products, things, non-essential goods, and anything that's not food related, those tend to be a little bit more stable. Like the price of the coffee mug at the store isn't going to be changing all that often. However, things like fruits and vegetables, milk, eggs, all of those things, depending on the supply chain that's producing all of those, the prices fluctuate on a daily basis. And it's a constant competition, especially between the major players in the grocery world, to have something that balances the profit versus value for the customer.
Got it. So once you learned about all this, can you tell me about what's it like for you to go grocery shopping just to buy milk or eggs, whatever it is that you buy? Like, how has that really changed for you?
So my wife kind of makes fun of me now a little bit because we'll be out shopping and going to picking up a couple of things, and I'll start to wax philosophic on like, oh man, I wonder what the system here is like. Like, I wonder how this price tag got put together. Like, oh, it looks like they might have missed this one piece of the thing. Like, this doesn't look exactly right. But yeah, like I said, it's interesting. It has opened up my eyes a lot to the amount of work that goes into getting milk onto the shelf at my local grocery store.
So you're like trying to troubleshoot your poor grocer with price tags.
Well, I'd like to think that I am researching for the next client meeting, because if I can think of a good idea to help streamline something, or if I see something in use out in the world that makes sense, and not even just grocery wise, but in general in the technological world, there's always a chance to improve, do things a little bit better, a little bit faster. And that's kind of what I'm here for. So
why groceries, Joe? Why go into this business of grocery price tags for you?
For me, so first off, it's something that everyone uses, and it's like, especially considering the current times we're in, helping a grocery store properly plan out how much stock that they need to have, building the appropriate recording to allow them to have the information that they need to make sure that the people that do need these foods get what they need. It's a little rewarding in a way. Part of it is in general making people's lives better. That's something that I've always strived for, no matter where I was in my career. If I can improve a process that makes me personally happy, but now specifically around grocery stores, if I can build something that takes a couple $100,000 a year off of overhead, I hope that at least a part of that ends up as savings for the people down that are actually buying the products.
So, I mean, someone could make the argument that it helps reduce the cost of food.
You can make that argument. Those are decisions that are out of my hands. That would happen to be whoever the grocery store happens to be. They are the ones who decide what to do with their savings. However, because of the competition in the market, generally anything they could do to save money is going to eventually drop prices, because that's how they get more customers and keep customers that they already have.
So I want to dig a little bit more into this. I can't imagine that you were 18 years old, getting ready to go to college and saying, you know what I want to do with my life? Work on grocery store price tags. So tell me a little bit about how you got here.
So I 18 years old. I actually thought I was going to be an accountant. Mm-hmm. So I started and I took my first accounting classes my first semester freshman year, and then I no longer wanted to be an accountant. No flack on accountants out there. I respect what you guys are doing. Stay strong, but accounting can be a little boring, especially the accounting classes. And accounting law is brutal. So I ended up switching into finance, and that was a little bit better. It's a little bit more fast paced, a little bit more interesting, because you got to look at a kind of bigger picture instead of the details that you were looking at with accounting. However, once I graduated from college, I slowly started to transition over time to more technical field. And that was basically because of what I said earlier, where I like to improve processes. Learning how to code was a personal thing that I did for myself, because I found out that a lot of times finance and accounting too is doing the exact same thing every month. When you get to a monthly close, you're taking the same information, slightly different every month, of course, and doing almost the same exact things with it. So I started to build some processes around the work that I was doing in finance, and that led me into learning more about code. Eventually it got to the point where I kind of automated my finance job away and started working on a little bit of some side project stuff for other people in the company, whether pulling reports from the databases or just providing ways to get information around the company quicker. And that's when I eventually shifted over into a more analytical role. Then I started pulling more tech out, because I wanted to not only produce the reports, but I wanted to automate the production of reports. I wanted to be able to incorporate new sources to make the reports more interesting and more informative. And then as that happened, I ended up kind of falling into a development role. Then I realized that development was a little too much into the code for me, where I started having to build things other people were telling me and doing less about things that I wanted to do, things that I wanted to build. And I wanted to get back to improving those processes. And that's how I ended up here, improving processes specifically for grocery stores.
So do you program at all in your current position?
In my current position, a little bit, not as much in some of my previous roles, definitely not as much as the development role, but I do still get to play around, and I do read the code a lot more often than write it, because a lot of times when working with a developer, I find it is most beneficial to be able to speak their language. If I can't pinpoint the exact method that's doing the thing that I want to do, that I want to be able to upgrade, it makes the communication a little bit harder. So being able to open up IntelliJ and follow the trail of breadcrumbs to the place that does need to change and pointing that out to them saves them the extra couple hours of research and digging through old requirements to find that themselves.
Can you talk a little bit about a day in the life? What are some of the processes and tools and programs that you're using in order to do what you do?
Well, honestly, pretty much anyone in the tech field will agree with me on this. Jira is one of the biggest tools that I'm using. It is kind of the starting place for everything, all of the starting and ending place. So you start in Jira, then you add more details to the requirement that you want. You link it to previous tickets. And as it passes through the process, the ticket develops into its true form at the end, where it has all of the information attached to it. It'll have examples all the way from the beginning mock-ups of when we first had the idea to the final product that has to make sure that it's mapped properly in one system or another. But outside of Jira, most of the stuff that we're doing is in Java. Java and Groovy are the two core pillars of our code base. I personally use a little bit of Python. I find it's a little bit easier, especially if you are not a hardcore developer background. It's a little bit more forgiving, and there's a lot of libraries available for it. Other than that, the majority of the stuff that we use is homegrown. We base some of our development off of Hybris, which is the core structure. It's a SAP program. That's what we build off of, but we're at the point now where we have Hybris experts that are doing all sorts of crazy custom things that Hybris never even thought of.
So we've talked quite a bit about the output, the price tag itself. Can you tell me a little bit about how you organize all the inputs into what makes a price tag a price tag?
So we could get into data constellations and how things are stored in the database. For the most part, there are main types, I would say, of data, and I touched on it briefly, is you have the product, which is an obvious one. You have promotions, you have stores, warehouses. We'll stay there for the main pillars. Inside of those is all of the details about those main entities. So inside of a product, you would have the product's name, the product's marketing name, the different units that need to be used. Last count, I would say there's probably a good 15 different unit fields, depending on where the product is being displayed, how the unit is going to be used. Yeah, there's lots of units everywhere. Then there are the connection points between different things. So a particular product can belong to a promotion. So that is one of the attributes on a product is the promotions that it belongs to. And conversely, a promotion will have a list of all the products that belong to it. And through those connections, you have this web of information that you can basically follow a trail to get to all of these different pieces of information. For price tags specifically, you need a product, a store, and a warehouse. With that information, you can know all the information that you need to get to a completed price tag. Being able to go to the product, you can check the product to see if it has attachments to any of the stores, to any of the promotions that you need. You get a list of all of the prices that are attached. all of the units, as we mentioned, and based on the type of template, whether or not they have a promotion active or not, the type of promotion, be it a buy more, save more, while supplies last. There's all this information spread out all over the place, but the trick is to get the connection points down. Starting from any place, you can get to most places of the system. There are very few things that we build and import that don't get connected to anything. Honestly, I can't even really think of anything right now, just because information sitting by itself without a connection to other information isn't useful to anybody. The only thing that you could do is look at that particular set of information, not being able to connect it back to the marketing information about the product or the price data isn't very useful. And that's the point of what we do, is taking that information and making it useful by attaching it to everything else that it needs to be attached to.
You keep mentioning a system. Is this something proprietary to MGM Technology Partners? Is this a spreadsheet?
This is PIM. PIM, anyone in the industry will know, is product information management. That is our tool that we built off of the Hybris base structure. It's a lot of things. There is a UI portion to it. There is the database portion to it. There is the APIs, both in and out, that allow for all of this information to get into a single location and save that and produce it in other places. Yeah, that's the simple way of putting it, is it's taking 15, 20, 30 different disparate sources of information and putting it all into one place and providing it in the right combination for the people that need to use it.
Is this a out-of-the-box PIM system?
No, this is a very customized. Though we do have, I would say, more of a baseline setup where we could turn something on based on some general guidelines that we have. However, now we have layered so many different customizations, and of course, depending on the country that you're in, the state that you're in, the user that you're logged in as, you will see a completely different setup, have access to completely different functionality, and all of that is extremely customized and configured based on the client's desires.
Going back to grocery stores for a second, what trends do you see influencing how price tags are going to change in the future, if at all?
Price tags, it's a toss-up. It depends on who you talk to. I personally think that the digitalization of price tags isn't too far away, just from like a maintenance standpoint and for the environment. Creating all of these price tags, especially, as I said, the ones that are only valid for a couple of days, it's a lot of extra waste, and it's a lot of extra effort to print them out and have them get delivered all over the place to all the different stores. Whereas having basically a little iPad-like device sitting on the shelf, you would be able to make a change in the central system and send out the update to all of the different stores, and those updates would be there almost instantaneously. So no more printing price tags, no more the employee at the store having to take a stack of new price tags from the back and bring it out to the front and update all the different tags. So again, saving a lot of time and money on that way. The downside is it's a rather sizable cost still up front to get the devices to display all these price tags. And then, of course, there's networking considerations, because all of these price tags would then have to be connected to their network somehow. And of course, there's the maintenance. If someone, knocks into a price tag and the screen cracks, someone's got to go and fix that. Then that could. It depends when you're weighing cost versus benefit of how that whole system is going to shake out. But in another few years, screens are probably going to be either more durable and flexible. So it's really only a matter of time. I mean, it's a general one. I would say look at unit pricing. It's the best way to compare of different products on the shelf is the unit pricing will most likely by law have to be the same. So if you're looking at two different laundry detergents, the unit pricing will tell you how much you're actually getting per fluid ounce or per tablet or whatever the unit for that particular item is. And it's a good way to look back and forth. And another thing is always pay attention to dates. In the bottom corner, top corner, somewhere there will be some dates, either around the promotions and what the actual longevity of the price is. So it's possible that maybe a price tag hasn't been updated yet. But if it's displayed, you might still be able to get a promotion or something that ended yesterday.
Ah, smart. All right. Well, Joe, this has been great. And thank you. Is there anything else that you wanted to share before we close out?
I would say, in general, take a second to think a little bit deeper about the stuff that's going on around you. Not even just from a technical standpoint, just in life. I feel like a lot of times, especially in this current age of convenience, we don't take the time to truly appreciate and understand the beauty that's going on behind the scenes of things. And I feel like you appreciate it more.
Snaps for that. You've been listening to MGM's Innovation Implemented, MGM Technology Partners' podcast about technology and innovation. You can follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. If you haven't yet, go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Google Podcasts to subscribe. Join me next month for another MGM Innovation Implemented conversation. Thank you for listening.